Hey guys, listen, we got something special today. We have a guest with us, Mr. Mike Rivers of DV6. So we're going to learn about him, his organization, and talk with some dudes.
Yeah, I run the dysfunctional veterans page, but we also have the nonprofit that I probably know me from, the DV Farm.
Correct.
Yeah, and the DV6 is just a call sign, so you don't
So,
have to call it. If you do, it's
Yeah.
either just six or dickhead.
Okay, either one. I get a lot of the
And
same.
this is Gabby Sue.
So Gabby has been on the road with you for a couple of months. Tell us about what you're doing out on your travels.
So twice a year, via my organization, I go out on the road across the country, attending fundraisers, attending people's events that are trying to keep our organization running, that are supporting homeless vets. So I'm on my way back from Colorado Springs, where disgruntled vets, Chappie and his team, have put on their second or third annual fundraiser for us. And they have what's called the Disgruntled Vet Fest. It's last year it was just a day-long event with live bands, concerts, vending booths, indoor, outdoor, dunk tank, food, music, raffles. It was awesome. This year, even with COVID, the governor was limiting. Our venue could hold up to 2,000 people. We were hoping between 5 and 1,000, but they limited the capacity to 250.
Right.
So being that we're all vets and active duty, some of the active duty guys went to the motor pool and grabbed camo nets and threw them up so we could, I don't know, yeah, it's over. So we could squeeze by
Right.
250 a little more.
Yep.
So that came in handy. So now I do the road trips twice a year, meeting donors and attending fundraisers, because we don't receive any federal or state funding for our organization out there in New Hampshire. We run a long-term rehab for homeless vets, not just any homeless vets. We take in the ones that have tried the traditional resources out there and need something longer. So I like to say I take in the problem children, the ones that nobody else can handle.
Right.
So,
And one of the things I know, the guys at T Supply did the documentary a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things that I first kind of picked up on that is a lot of the federal and state programs that would help these veterans are much shorter term. So,
absolutely, that's a good point. Unless you've been down this road, I myself, I'm not just the director. I'm also a client, a former client.
Right.
Your traditional programs can last anywhere from typically 30 days to 90 days.
Right.
And then that's it. And whereas what I work on out there, it can take up to just 6 months to restabilize a veteran. And then the real work begins, because until you arrest the drug or alcohol addiction, you're just spinning your wheels. That's the most important thing we do.
And I can speak from personal experience. I'm sure you can as well. It took me a lot longer than 6 months to come back down to a relative normal after my time in the service.
Well, 6 months is just to get to where you're stable. We need to make sure that you're not going to. We don't want to waste our time. The resources are not unlimited.
Right.
So their first 90 days there is a make or break. It's we don't tell them they're on probation, but typically, if they don't have, I have checks and balances. They're up until 90 days. They're just kind of going along for the ride. They're getting programmed into the VA. They're getting mental health. Their meds adjusted. And let's not lie, with the alcohol and the drug addiction, for no rhyme or reason, they could relapse or walk away from the program. That's how powerful. And usually, within the first 30 days, it's a crapshoot on whether the guy will last 30 days. Not because of us, just because of their addiction. If they get a check and the eagle shits, they're gone. You know, or it's that powerful a thing. By the end of 90 days, anybody after 90, I've had the chances of them making it through the whole program go up astronomically. Like I've only lost less than 5 after 90 days, where they walked away. or we had to terminate them.
Right.
Find them another program. So that 90 days is a good baseline for me. And then after 90 days, we start giving them the added more responsibility with using farm equipment, from
Right.
chainsaws to the tractor to the 4-wheeler, 6-wheeler, stuff like that.
Right.
But that can't start until we're sure that they have a handle on their addiction.
Certainly. So, I mean, I grew up on a farm, 30 minutes from here. When I first got out of the service, I spent a lot of time out there. It's very therapeutic. So I really kind of vibed with that when I was watching.
Well, it's a farm and title only. We don't grow crops.
Right.
It's more like a ranch. The projects that we have going on, we have horses, we have ducks and chickens, and we're working on getting cattle. Mm-hmm. But their main forte is I like to give them responsibility. I don't like to micromanage, and I try to get them to engage that organ between their ears. So what will happen is, due to resources and money, we don't have the staff, so they're just like the military. They're put in charge of things, and I basically tell them to what I want done, whether it be road building or we're clearing land or burning, snow shoveling, whatever. But they lead the projects and stuff, and try not to kill themselves or anybody else.
And I think that's a great way to bring that particular community kind of back, because I mean they're used to that, or we are used to that very much. So, I don't think it would maybe work with like a regular civilian that may be very reactant to that. But
absolutely not. And it's funny because that's where I differ. I've been in these programs, and every time I was in them, they had all kinds of cool stuff, but you couldn't touch anything. You were homeless. We don't trust you. Mm-hmm. And you could sense it. No, they're your family. You give it enough rope if you wrap it around your neck and hang yourself.
Right.
You're given a lot of trust, and as long as you have that trust, you can do anything. And it's not handed to you the day you get there. You earn it.
Right.
And it's a graduated program. So the more that trust they build up, the more responsibility they get.
Therefore, the more they can grow.
And don't get me wrong. There are guys that are just happy just shoveling shit and don't want to be in charge of anything. That doesn't happen either.
Right.
Or you can't stay because you have to grow.
Right.
You're not just going to sit comfortable and being the guy with no responsibility. The longer you're there, the more responsibility you take over. So there's a lot of things that aren't written down that's instilled in them or they're reconnected with. But I haven't been able to articulate it properly. So.
Right. So when you first started Dysfunctional Veterans, how it's grown now into what it is today, were you expecting something like that?
Absolutely not. The whole reason why I started the page, I thought just like anybody else out there, that was like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. I was homeless. I just co-founded I just finished my own program. I'd been there 3 years, one based off of the one I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. It's similar. They had horses. They didn't grow anything. Pigs, horses, cows, ducks, chickens, but you really couldn't do anything. It was more like a big petting zoo. Right. And the concept was great, but there was no trust there. So I ended up leaving there, and I was homeless again. And my former therapist, caseworker, was a veteran. He just quit his job. So we started our own nonprofit. And I won't say any names or anything like that because they're still around. But it was clear that something right wasn't going on there. Mm-hmm. And I ended up leaving that and was homeless again. So when I started the page, and the reason why I started the page was obviously there's something wrong with me because even my own vets don't like me or I can't get along with them. Well, it wasn't me. So I started the page just a way to unload, my dark humor and not offend anybody. I found out you can offend even veterans too.
Yeah.
I think they call them bro vets or something.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, bro vets or super vets, Look, I got this thing. If you got to tell people you're a badass, you're not a badass. If you got to state it. No, I started the page just to do that. And within a year, people are like, you got to sell shirts. You got to sell shirts. Mm-hmm. I'm like, no. I don't. I'm just posting funny memes. But after 2 years, I went ahead and I partnered with a online T-shirt thing where you pre-sell some shirts. I ended up selling like $20,000 worth of shirts in 1 month. I sold like 1,000 shirts.
Right.
and the quality of the shirt sucked. My shirts finally arrived. I wouldn't even wear them. They were so bad. The logos were crooked.
Yeah.
And so I took, not everybody's shit got screwed up, but I said, we'll take the money. I put oil in the furnace for the house heat. That was the first time I ever was able to, we had an apartment or a house we were renting. And I took the rest of the money and started a website and figured out how to start my own business. And I went to the town hall, and that was in Massachusetts. Apparently, I was inconveniencing them. And then I said, I'm done with Mass. I moved to New Hampshire, started the whole operation up there, rented warehouse space, and we launched. And it was phenomenal. I had like 12 employees. I was just a freaking year or two before that, a homeless person, crackhead. And now I'm signing checks for 30, 40, 50 grand, employees and all that. And it was just insane. It was insane. And little did I know that whether you're a vet or not doesn't mean they're an angel. I got screwed over many times by civilians and vets alike. It was a fast learning curve. But with all the money rolling in, I said, we can do our own thing for vets. And so I started to GoFundMe and raised like 50 grand with the help of other people. And I also learned the IRS. You can't use donated money to buy anything with land, property, vehicles. So I had to do everything through the business. Find a way to reinvest. Yep. So we did, and I dumped like $500,000 on property and vehicles and buildings and stuff and started the program. And then Facebook shut my page down. That was 2 million followers. They just kept squeezing. So I tried contracting my warehouse out. I got screwed over there. So that's why it's not up and running. I'm about to currently relaunch it. But the T-shirt sales where most nonprofits fail in the first 5 years, in first year, I was going to ensure that didn't happen. And because I was back funding the program out of pocket, And now that we've been around 5 years, there's a lot of fundraisers, people donating, that we're sustaining what we have right now. Right. I do want to expand, but
of course. How many vets have you interacted with through your program?
So we house. This is a story. I can say it now. We can house 5 at a time. We have 5 beds. Over the 5 years, we've 4 in operation, 5 on paper.
Okay.
So I think at last count it was over 30. So we're doing it. It's working too. Not everybody that goes there. It's when I tell when I go through the interview process, I tell them that if you can make it 90 days, if you're there after 90 days, the chances of you succeeding and fixing your shit go up a lot. Like it's rarely ever that it's rare that we fail, or you fail.
Right.
So if you can just hang on, because you got so many things going on that first 30 days, the urge to go use. They're in the honeymoon period, and they think they're fixed now. Oh man, I'm gonna go do this.
I'm set.
What made you take that on versus doing anything else?
So I've lost everything I've ever owned in my life. Everything. When I was home, that's one of the final straws that broke the camel's back. My ex almost murdered me. She gutted me like a fish. And it was a love-hate relationship. She was a redhead. Sex was phenomenal, but when she drank, she was angry, and she stabbed me and tried to murder me. But so she got arrested for attempted murder, and she was in prison. She was in jail waiting to go to prison, trial and all that. And I moved on, but I got picked up on a warrant. She had filed a counter charge.
Right.
So they just sent me a thing in the mail saying, hey, you need to show up for court. I never got it. It went to the old place. Well, they picked me up on a warrant. I got stopped one day, and I had no contact with my family, so I just sat in jail as I went through the whole system. And it was no big deal for me, but because I'd been to prison many times, and it's not funny. But when I got out, I'd lost everything I'd ever owned, and I had nowhere to go. I had just a pair of prison flip-flops, the gray shorts, and a T-shirt that said Cambridge Jail on it, and I just stayed on the streets. So after going through many detoxes and programs over the years while I was homeless, I started it because I don't have a college degree or an acronym at the end of my name, But I figured, take all the stuff that I've learned going through all the programs, take the good, screw drop the stuff we don't like, and incorporate it all and help those. Most of the programs are like cookie cutter programs, okay? And I understand that. You're trying to help the greatest number of people
Right.
with the least amount of dollars, et cetera.
Right.
But there's still those like me that are hard-headed. They need more. They're great guys.
They're totally worth it.
And the women too, but I can only help the men right now. And I know what they need. And they need somebody, one of the key things is having somebody that understands, that's been through it, that should be in charge. Because the last thing you want to do is to be trying to tell somebody, somebody coming in telling you how to do your job as a mortar guy. He's never been to mortars.
Right.
You don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
How are you going to tell me? Right, Gabby?
Yeah.
So that's
Gabby knows.
one. Two is relapse, one of my things I used to hate, I'd done 8 months in this program, and I've seen other people do, in former programs. They do great. And then they go on pass and relapse, come back, and they give you an hour to pack your shit. How dare you drink? Right. I'm an alcoholic. How dare you use drugs? I'm an addict. That's what we do. So it's like, and that's it. Pack your shit and go. Right. They give you an hour to pack. So you never plant roots when you go in these programs, just like I learned, because you never know. You might break a stupid rule or you might relapse. And if you do, they're going to give you an hour to pack your shit.
Right.
So I've changed that. If a guy comes back, I've got things in place. So if a guy relapses and he owns it, and I'm going to do this in a simplistic form. If he owns it and agrees to whatever punishment, or changes to a program, you can stay. What I don't tolerate, wasn't my fault,
right.
Your tests suck, or fuck you.
Or this is, any number of excuses.
Just come back. If you own it,
right.
and I can work with you. Now, I'm not going to let you relapse every time you go on pass.
Right.
And if you relapse while you're in the program, that's worse than relapsing on pass. And if you bring somebody else down, that's pretty bad. Yep. So that could get you kicked out, even in my program. But again, if you own it. So I have graduated levels of punishment. The most severe being I send you to the VA and you wear pajamas for 30 days. They hate that.
Yeah.
So that's flipped on its head. And also I give them a lot of trust.
Yeah.
I don't micromanage. There's no staff in the house, like monitoring them. They're entrusted with, just like you were in the military,
with each other.
With each other, and with, one of the things I'm trying to get them to do, when I say use their brain, make good decisions. And you'll see, like, each person's recovery is different, but it usually takes up to 6 months for them to be totally clear-headed. 90 days as a rule. The VA or at a detox, it's a few days with some meds. You're detox. No, you're not. I've seen people change, evolve, at 90 days, 6 months, a year, and 2 years, where they grow and they get their faculties back. And part of that way I learn where they're at, what they're thinking, is with the jobs I give them and the tools. If they're making sound decisions, that shows that they're in recovery. Right. When they start doing stupid shit, either A, they're retarded, which they can't stay if they're retarded, or they're not fully there yet.
Right.
So, and then we document that and stuff like that, which all leads to, them being able to accept the challenges of what's out there in society. So my program is not designed for them to, hey, when you finish in a year, 2 years, your life is all unicorns and rainbows.
Right.
No, all I'm doing is getting you stronger. I'm like the emergency room of programs. When you leave there, you can do a traditional program, a halfway house, where there are drugs and alcohol, which typically all of them have it. So you'll be strong enough to withstand that.
Right. You'll be prepared for the things that you're going to face moving forward.
Because you go to a regular job, and people aren't going to, hide their beer from you or their crack pipe while they're on the factory line.
Right. So of the guys that you've already had that have completed this program, do any of them stay involved? I know you've mentioned several, a few, but...
Sorry.
It's quite all right. I understand. 34, just had my first neck surgery. Thank you, Uncle Sam.
You're younger than me.
Oh, yeah. It's, but so these guys in the future,
it's a feather for your cap.
Oh, that'd be great. It'll be right there on the thing. So these guys moving forward, they stay in contact. Do they offer?
Not all of them. Yeah. Even some of the ones that have failed. But some have gone on to get their own jobs. One guy got a job. He left. We actually discharged him early because he had a school lined up as a lineman down here, down south here. And then as soon as he graduates, he had a job lined up with one of the like Asplund or
one of the
power companies.
larger organizations.
And he stays in touch. There's other people that do. Those are the good success stories where, and there are others that have left and, are struggling still.
Right.
And we do take people back. Like if on their own accord, they feel, hey, I might need a tune-up.
Right.
If I got a bed open, I'll take them back. So name another program to do that. You already finished. This isn't for you. We don't do that. And that's one of the good things about not being boxed in by the big federal grants, which I want to get. But, some of the money that you take comes with stipulations and stuff, and I don't want to get boxed in. And we're still small enough that within reason we can manipulate or mold the rules or the program to do the best
to
good
fit
we can.
the needs of what you guys are.
Because as soon as you get big, it's like people are reading from a book and they go, the book, that's against the rules, and they can't. Everything's black and white.
Yeah.
I look for intent. Dealing with events.
So how
it's
we
just
wound
like the
up.
military. Let me tell you, it's just like the military in this place with the stupid stuff.
Organized chaos
Yeah.
and somehow still functioning. Speaking of the military, though, that's kind of how we wound up here. I keep saying Marcus and Louie, but it's Tristan and Marcus. They reached out to or connected the two of us about the show. Louie is, I mentioned this out front when we were getting ready to set up. We were together at Fort Campbell in 2014 to 16, I believe. It's around the same time we were working together. These guys, how has it been seeing, merging with these other groups like T-Supply and stuff? I know marketing.
I've worked with a lot of special needs groups, so it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's great. It's good. It's good. They're great young people, and I love anybody. When I first started out, the only way to make a name for myself or whatever, how do you say? I like if I can help somebody because my footprint's bigger, I'll do it.
Right.
And I like watching young people starting out, and I can see they got the
Getting
talent
after
and all that,
it.
and just need a little bit of extra push or exposure, and that's what I like doing. And they have the talent and the creativity, and they're great people, and so it's been great working with them. Also, it shows how old I am because I can't keep up with them.
Oh man, I feel so much older, exponentially older every day, but we really do. We thank you for coming out here. I know you've been all over the country, and we appreciate it. Kind of our thing that has brought us together is, in all honesty, movies and pop culture and social media. So here we go. You were.
Damn it, Bobby.
Yeah. So, all right, my parents, that's funny that's the first thing that comes out. My parents are like the sweetest people in the world. They're very conservative, Bible Belt Southerners. And but they are real life versions of Hank and Kitty Hill mixed with George, or what's his name? The Foremans, Red Foreman.
Oh, yeah.
And Kitty Foreman from
George, Hank and Peggy.
Hank and Peggy, and then that 70s show. But my dad, he's all about that WD-40. So coming up, like, in your youth, did you have any specific things that like captivated you? Me, I was all about Lord of the Rings and the Star Wars, all the weird, the sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
Later with the Band of Brothers and, after the service, I kind of got a lot more of an attachment to that stuff. There's been some great documentaries, Generation Kill, Band of Brothers, that kind of portray what we've done. But what about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Books, movies.
Yeah, I was, my dad being in the military, I had some influence, but I grew up on Baba Black Sheep, Ash, Hogan's Heroes, F Troop. But as far as my idols go, as a little kid, I was, 9 or 10, and I was teaching myself about World War II.
Right.
And Patton was my idol. And when I saw the movie, I loved the movie.
Right.
And I would watch it over and over again. And I got Patton's books, and one of them was a book on Patton's principles.
Mm-hmm.
As a little kid, I used to walk around with a tan jacket and I wrote Boynton on it because I didn't want to be a Marine, so to speak. I just love the way that, like, drinking and fighting. Hey, I kind of lived.
I get that.
When I was in the Army. So Patton, those were my idols. I love World War II movies.
Mm-hmm.
My dad took me out of school and I skipped. We got to see the opening of Bridge Too Far.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't have a doctor's appointment. That's when I learned about the fake dental appointments. They're pulling me out of class and, yeah, your father's here to pick you up for a dental appointment? And I'm like, I don't have a dental appointment. My dad's like, shut up.
Your dad's like, what kind of shady stuff we getting up to, Dad?
He was trying to bond with me. You know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, I did. And I liked sci-fi growing up, Battlestar Galactica and Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite movies, though, like I said, was I could watch Patton over and over and over. The Wild Geese. You know that movie?
I don't know that one.
Bunch of mercenaries, Brit mercenaries. They go down to Africa to rescue one of the good dictators.
Right.
Raid on Entebbe and stuff like that. Yeah.
So it's funny. The communities, I always enjoy weird experiences, right? So I was when Inglourious Bastards came out, the Tarantino. Yeah. I was working at Duke at the time, and so I had my Fridays off. I went at like lunchtime. I was like, "Hey, well, yeah, this is like me by myself. Got this theater by myself." And then all of a sudden, the VA rolls in with like 10 to 15 World War II veterans that are in wheelchairs. Shit. Their kids are with them. They're like on walkers, and every time a German got beat to death with a bat or something, these guys are like, hell yeah. And I'm like, this is the coolest. But, you know, with even in the service, the camaraderie is so close. I remember there being some very thematically tense situations that we go watch these. I remember going to watch Django when it came out, and that our crowd was very ethnically split. That was the most times the N-word was used in a movie. And I'm sitting in between one of my African-American soldier comrades and one of the nerdiest white comrades I've ever heard. And we were all sitting here so tense. And then a scene involving the KKK comes on, and my buddy Jasper has this big guffaw, like the most obnoxious laugh ever. And I look in here, I was like, is my brother really that dude in the theater right now? And his enjoyment of that time with us, like, everybody was finally good in that movie. And I mean, it kind of trips me out that, you know, those relationships can kind of transpire a lot of the stuff we see today. There's a lot of tensions today. That's one of the reasons that led us to this show, is it's something that people can enjoy regardless of their backgrounds and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, you know, you got a lot of civilians watching because they're trying to get insight into, because they want to connect better. I get that a lot.
Right. So that actually, I meant to ask you that one, but it slipped by. Coming from your standpoint specifically with how you've interacted with dysfunctional veterans, I know there is a very big, I would say, misperception of what veterans are in the world. All civilians see is the stuff like that. I'm a badass, or I'm a ranger, or I'm this or that, and they are it can be abrasive. These guys, when you interact with them so personally, what would you like to say to the public about them? I mean, they're beautiful people. I think they're all unique.
I hate everybody. I hate everybody, but there are a few. It's for every person that ever served. That's how many different versions
stories there are,
and stories.
Right. Sure.
So, the one thing that aggravates the piss out of me is when, you know, the whole, and it's not competition. It's just belittling and bashing other veterans when they're out there trying to do stuff.
Right.
I got it. Other people are getting it. Right now, what's going on with the current situation with grunt style, you know, not for nothing, but, you know, I applaud anybody that's trying to do good.
Right.
And there's no book out there that says that they have to.
Right.
Whether they're out there selling T-shirts, they don't have to donate any money. They don't have to. They can go spend it all on hookers and blows. I don't care.
Right.
Their money. This is America. Or they don't have the right opinion. It's just sick of that.
The same. The same opinion you mean. For sure.
You know, that's the only way they elevate themselves. But, as far as civilians go, look, get out of the left lane and put your phone down, okay?
Yeah. Well, you had some.
So yeah,
awesome
I
questions
think
earlier.
with that, like just that same thing, being a civilian, Luke, being a civilian and dealing with really cool veterans like Josh.
I see he has a token civilian too.
Yeah,
I do. This is my guy right here,
and then
and he has his token vet.
yeah, and then dealing with some non-pleasant veterans for whatever reason.
Super vet.
which I don't understand this, but
Yeah.
I understand probably where it's coming from. I can see that. I can recognize some of that stuff. But within these movies that you love, like Patton, these other Army movies and stuff like that, do you think these guys are portrayed correctly?
Oh, I always see.
Yeah.
I love, no matter who puts out a movie, if it's done right.
Yeah.
Like The Great Escape or Inglourious, like you said, The Dirty Dozen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can probably, if you've been in long enough, find that personality with somebody you serve with.
Right.
I used to say, like when they asked me what was it like in the first Gulf War, and I said, well, my personal thing it was more like a combination of Hogan's Heroes and MASH combined.
Yeah.
It was just that good.
Yeah.
I mean, from the illegal stills I had going on to hitchhiking on the flight line to catch a Blackhawk to go somewhere into town, to stealing vehicles.
Yeah,
getting
Buffalo
a job.
Soldiers.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, I think it's like, in these movies, they're obviously portrayed as like,
But there's always somebody like that out there.
yeah.
It might not fit your perception. Right. Remember, when you're in the military, but when you're in the military, you're just a small cog in a massive machine.
Sure.
It's system.
Right.
And who's not to say there isn't somebody like that? And if you relate to it, you relate to it. I mean, I always do. It's when they get the mechanics right. Like we keep talking about Band of Brothers. Our core ethos. And they get that right on some of these movies. And they're, if it's like watching modern day TV shows where the military doesn't play the primary part. But there's just it's a brief moment in the movie or a TV show, and they basically screw that up because they don't really care about the patches or the way the beret is wearing, and it just as a vet, it's like
We were talking about that specifically today.
Like I'll tolerate it. Like I love watching the guy, the homicide detective, Kenda.
Joe
Kenda.
My. That's my boy. Little did he know.
I will find you.
Yeah.
No, but because they're Fort Carson and everything's right there. There's constantly that thing with the military in there. And it's just, I love the TV show, and I know the military ain't a primary thing, but it makes it hard. Oh, my God.
Right.
And because I love my wife's a vet, too. She's just enjoy the show. Just enjoy. Don't you dare. And I don't. Not for that. But if it's a movie and it's about the military,
I think the most garbage military thing I've ever seen on screen was I think
you got to do, if Stripes can get it right, you can do it.
Yeah, no, when they hit the mortar rounds on the rock and then threw the rounds, that just devastated me. I was like, okay, guys, that's just you're taking advantage.
I think there's let me ask. I don't ask you this, but maybe for you since the mortar thing, there's a scene in We Were Soldiers, which is one of my favorite. It's a Vietnam movie, obviously, but they're doing the mortar rounds and the tubes are too hot.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Sarge, we got no water."
Mm-hmm.
And then so they all just start pissing on the tube. Yeah,
absolutely,
totally accurate.
Yep,
hell yeah,
if necessary. I mean, we snow, water, pee.
But
but that's like a Hollywood moment,
right?
But
it
is
legitimate.
They'll say that would never happen in the military because it's against the rules or whatever.
Right.
But let me tell you some of the things we pulled off. With pranks and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I showed these guys how to make tear gas. A month ago
from the MREs,
MRE heaters.
Yeah.
Oh, right. No, you don't want to hear what I did. We didn't have heaters.
Maybe we do.
I was flying home.
Okay.
I had to fly down south. My mom was in the hospital. Now, this was when I was homeless. Mm-hmm. And I had just enough, somebody had given me some money, bought me a plane ticket so I could go down and see my mom. And to save money, a couple people gave me MREs.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. So I'm up at 35,000 feet, and I'm in a middle seat, which this is why I don't like flying. The seats have gotten smaller, or I've gotten fatter. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, ooh, spaghetti and meatballs. So I'm opening it up. I'm like, a heater?
Oh, no.
It says add water. I add water, and I put it in. And next thing you know, it's fucking smoking.
Right.
It's smoking. And I'm like, and I just watched the movie Harold and Kumar go to Gitmo Bay, Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
And so that scene where he's in the bathroom trying
And
to make
yep.
that was going in my head like,
Right.
oh my God. So I start waving it and then I put it down under the seat and I'm doing this. And the lady next to me, this guy was passed out. The lady next to me starts laughing.
Right.
And so I'm like, she's like, you obviously have never used one. Did you read the package? I'm like, oh, she goes, don't worry, I was Navy. I'm not going to say nothing. But
Right.
if they see that smoke.
Right. That might be you off this plane or underneath
I'm
it.
sorry, I didn't know. We didn't have these stupid things.
Right.
You know, you put it under your armpit or right down here.
Right.
You know? Oh, my God. Oh, my.
That's funny.
It's wild. So we were talking about we brought this up. You were mentioning how unique the stories are. The service in general comes out to all of the branches roughly come up to 1% of the population.
Right.
Infantry is, or at least
Less
active
than
duty
1%.
infantry is less
There are
than
22
1% of
million veterans alive, give or take,
Yeah.
100,000, whatever.
So if you're wondering like all these weird people you see on screen portraying infantry, like I think that we somehow successfully did find the 1% of the weirdest people in the country for the
Right,
service because
right.
I mean I knew them.
Yeah.
Well,
What's one thing you could see that like movies would do better?
just paying attention to those details.
Those little details.
That would
Yeah.
go for anybody that is doing a TV show.
Right.
We don't want to spend the money to hire a military advisor.
Right.
You can just hire a grunt,
Yeah.
a grunt
Right.
or anybody
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
that knows basic uniforms,
Right.
Like, oh my God. Oh,
Yeah, you would never wear the badges like that, or you would never have that
Right.
many
Or you
things
would
in
never
your-
have your hair touching your ears underneath the beret. That's
Right.
one that always gets me.
I love how everybody in the military has goatees.
Yep. I kind of enjoy those. As like they'll drive you nuts. I'm like, what can I see that's wrong?
NCIS
here?
does an awesome job, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I look at my wife. We're watching it during our dinner time theater because I only get 1 hour a day with my wife, and it's
Right.
when we sit down to eat. We're watching NCIS, and 1 minute they're in DC, and they hop a plane, and the next they're in the middle of a field in Europe, like, and only a couple. It's still nighttime, and
Right.
it's just a couple hours, not a 6-hour flight just to get to Germany itself, and then another couple hours by. Yeah, I was like, she's like, don't pick it apart. 1 minute they're on a carrier, the next piece of cake, we're back in DC.
You can see you boiling, like holding it in.
Yeah.
That's funny.
God, no, just pay attention to
Just the details. Yeah.
the uniforms and stuff. You get that right. In the military, not everybody could salute, so I can those. But if you're portraying an infantry,
This is for Ian Smith right here. I love you.
my God, Pauly Shore, I can't stand him.
Oh, in the Army? Yeah.
I was working as a hot dog vendor. It's just part-time job before I was on my way of being homeless. And so I'm sitting there running the hot dog cart, and I got this long line, and this idiot comes up, and I go, there's a line, and he's like, I'm just getting a soda. And I'm like, he goes, you know who I am? I go, yeah, you put your pants on like anybody else does, same way. He's like, here, pal, buy yourself something nice. And gives me $1 for, like that's what they cost.
Yeah.
No, he's an asshole. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Don't spend it all
So
in
I
one place,
overheard
kid.
him. He went away from the hot dog cart, but he was still in earshot, and he's talking. Now, look, I just want to walk through. I don't want really anybody to know I'm here.
Right.
So all I did to everybody, hey, you guys like Pauly Shore? Yeah. Well, he sucked, but hey, he's signing autographs over there. He wants to meet as many people as he can. I just kept shoveling people over there.
That's awesome.
When you were telling me that Robin Williams had come to
Yes.
your company a year before or after?
The deployment previous to mine.
Previous to yours?
So right before mine.
Did in any of your experience, I said you were in 8 years, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever get to meet anybody else?
No.
Like Pauly Shore? Or
No,
anybody?
when we were there, Bob Hope was still alive, and he was
Okay.
putting on.
Oh, wow.
Couldn't go.
Yeah.
I could never go anywhere because we were
Yeah.
always the ones that had to be on alert.
Same.
No, but when I was homeless, I met Billy Joel. I met people from Aerosmith, missing persons, all kinds of people.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. That polished horse story is fun.
Oh, I know. I would do the same thing. I'm such a jerk. I would absolutely do that. So you're.
And Billy Joel's only like this tall.
Is he really?
Oh, he is short.
I did not know that.
Hot dog cart again. He come up, ordered a hot
over
dog,
the side
and I knew who he was, but I was just like, and gave him a damn hot dog, and he walked away. As soon as he walked away, a couple girls, oh my God, do you know who that was? And I was like, I just got out of service, so I was like, yeah, Billy Joel. Oh my God, it was Billy Joel. I was like, yeah, whoopee do.
Do you want a hot dog?
Yeah, right? One with a vein.
So, yeah,
it's the special of the day.
So I was in Nashville when I was stationed at Fort Campbell. This is one of my best friends, Tim. He was my first team leader in the Army. It was his 21st birthday, and I went in a little older. I was 24, so we went down one night, and there was this one vendor, and he always had a little sign. It was like he said the best Nashville's best hot dogs, and I knew I was drunk because I'm very picky about how I eat hot dogs. Usually ketchup, mustard, and chili, maybe some pickles. I was like, I need 6 of those, 6 of your city's finest hot dogs, and I want everything on them, kind of deal. I was trash. So drunk that I'm sitting on the sidewalk, and I had to, for easier reach, I had them laying off long ways off this window pane. So next thing I know, it's like 9:30 at night, and I'm covered in condiments on the main Broadway at Nashville. And this lady comes up to me and my buddy Tim, and she's like, "Sir, you need to leave." And I stood up. I was like, I'm going to start my own bar one day. And when I do, I'm going to let these drunk people sit on my steps anytime they want to. And my buddy Tim was like, yo, dude, look through the window. And I looked at it, and I saw the lady, and I gave her the tap, tap, tap. Mean point. And that's when I realized it was like the Nashville Public Library. So we had to scoot. But Nashville does make some great hot dogs. I'll say that.
When I was homeless, I'd sometimes be an asshole, and I didn't look homeless. I always shaved every day, and I got a haircut every couple of weeks and stuff. But for shits and giggles, I tune up. I'd be drinking, and I'd get a nice buzz, and I would walk up to one of the finest restaurant windows, and the diners are in there having their $50 steak, and it's wintertime. I said, watch this. And I walk up to the window, and I put my hands on the window, and they're on the other side at their table.
Oh, man.
Just look at it.
And they would just...
it'd get them in the fields. It really would. So between the service, between dysfunctional veterans, we're talking about these different cities. Where are some of your more memorable places you've traveled? Anyone in
prison?
Yeah.
No, I mean, every place I go, I used to think I loved Boston. I was going to live there the rest of my life. I was homeless there. I just like the peace and quiet now, being out where I'm at. I like traveling. I like visiting people, but just like kids, they're nice to see and, but they're not mine,
Right.
So,
And you're in New Hampshire now?
Yeah.
Oh, we said, yeah.
My dead end road, can't see my neighbors. Got a mile long property. So, yeah. One of the things I have learned is I miss it. Because everywhere, the traffic and the sirens and what was that thump, Gabby? Protester. Oh, okay. Peaceful protester.
Yeah. That is awesome.
Fort Campbell, though, I told you, like I said, I loved Fort Campbell when I was young. I had a ball there, the Pink Lady, the Bel Air Club.
Cat West?
Cat West. I went there. It was, I didn't hang out there.
That's probably one of the grimiest places I've ever been inside.
Still there.
Of.
It's still there.
It'll be there long after we're both dead.
41A was just 2 lanes on either side and the ditch in the middle. Now it's all paved. And
these are strip clubs at Fort Campbell, for sure. Pink Lady, Cat West.
Yeah.
My buddy got hit by a car trying to get cash at the go-go dancing place. We called him Poor Little Tink Tink for like 2 years. So he got medical discharged.
Pretty wings.
Yeah, she's showing off. That is a beautiful bird.
The followers bought her for me. They paid the rescue, the
The
adoption,
adoption
fee.
fees and whatnot. That was actually, so you said your first one, Apache?
Huey.
Huey.
You mean the one I just had?
Yes. And he was somebody somebody just dropped off.
No. The one I just had that passed away. No.
Right.
No, this all, you asked me how long, how did this start? Yeah, the first one was Apache.
Okay.
And that's how I named, because I knew it wouldn't be the only
Right.
bird I had. So I figured, you know what? We're going
gonna
to
keep it
name
in the
them
bird
all off the
series.
helicopters. So I like that Fort Campbell, you know?
Yep.
So Apache was squared away. And then I taught, that one passed on. And I got another one, Black Hawk, Pavehawk. And I learned more and more. And so I'm at the point now where just like her, like Huey was, there'll be nothing like Huey again.
Yeah.
They all have their own unique personality traits, and I try to coax that out of them. But I have my training. I have a training regimen I put them through, and it leads all the way up to flying. And the only difference is now, had I done it with Huey, you'd be amazed, because when you first get them, they're just a bird. They're just a bird.
Yeah.
Don't even know their name. She's already got some training. But when I got done with Huey, before she died, she was very independent. She could fly in and out of traffic. She was flying all over the farm.
Right.
She's attacked dogs that have messed with her. So I started a Facebook page. If you want to follow, it's The Adventures of Gabby Sue. And a couple of years from now, you won't even recognize her. No man bun, but, she'll be flying and
Right.
doing all kinds of stuff. And because she can talk, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Who knows what
She's already registered to vote. Apparently, she got a voter registration thing on the internet.
Well, she's old enough.
Well, she
right?
definitely is old enough. But now they keep asking me every state I'm in on Facebook, want to register to vote here?
Yeah.
So I'm
on the
registered
page.
in Colorado now. I'm registered in, North Carolina, Kentucky.
All over.
So why? How did you get into birds specifically?
Like I was telling your partner here, it's about 10 years ago, somebody just drove right up, rolled the window down, threw the parrot out the window.
Wow.
You don't get a bird. It's like having a kid that'll never move out. They're not like dogs. You can't leave them alone. I mean, people do, but you shouldn't.
Right.
They're very social, active creatures. They've got to be belonging to the flock. They're not good by themselves. So I got this bird and named it Apache, but we're only going to have it for a month. I figured, give me a month, I can find it a home. I know nothing about birds. And the bird adopted us. And then followed by that, somebody says, oh, you take in birds, here's another one. And then we had up to 3, and I eventually said, enough's enough.
Yeah.
So we found a home for the other one, and, they've passed, and we've gotten more.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
I think any vet, if, one of the other things, the long-term goals with our nonprofit is I would love to see my vets out at the program. I would love to start another nonprofit where we take the parrots, train them, and because of how expensive they can be, give them to vets that say can't have a dog. Because having a dog, you would think this is more expensive than a dog. It's not. It's actually cheaper. Once you get past the cost of purchasing them, the vet bills are cheap. The food is cheap, and they'll bond with you. So for those vets that, are never going to go back to work again, could use a dog, but a dog is too much.
Right.
A parrot. Not maybe not a macaw, but the sun conures or African grays, and then just give them to a needy vet, a vet that could use it. I'd love to do something like that.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Pikes Peak Parrot Rescue for making this happen for me and all my fans.
Where is that based out of?
Colorado Springs.
Colorado
yeah.
Springs.
That would be a whole nother show.
Yeah,
oh,
for sure.
My God.
So she goes with you everywhere.
Yeah, just all my other bird did too, and she's trained to behave. Like she's not to scream or yell. She can do it outside, but when we go inside,
yeah.
But she's in training, so everything she's doing good so far.
Oh, she's been great.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's a beautiful bird.
So
I've just got my lazy-eyed pit bull. I love my dog. He's great.
Bruce.
Oh, Brucey boy. Okay, so let's see. With Marcus and Louie, I remember when Louie got his butt blown off. He'll appreciate us talking about that right now.
heard about that.
That was right around the time I got out. So Tristan Louie is he was one of the combat engineers. They do all the construction and demolition work of the military.
Yeah, I think he just had me on Facebook the other day.
Funny
We've
guy.
already laughed back and forth at some memes.
Yeah.
So
He so with that C wire, with all the construction, it's called C wire, the debt wire. He got it tangled around his leg and lost a pretty big, substantial piece of his butt cheek, and it went through his left leg, through his hip, and out the back. But the jolliest person, like that guy is one of the cheeriest people I met in the service. This is a very, very special guy.
He's a funny bastard.
Mm-hmm. And
I've seen his videos.
Yep, and I've got
from the service. We didn't have
Right.
that shit when I was in.
right.
I've seen a lot of those. Yeah, he's funny.
Of the things that Marcus captured while they were together
Yeah,
and whatnot. Yeah. And it's just funny. You mentioned those personalities. These guys are each so unique as well. Marcus is a really hard charging kind of guy with T-Supply and whatnot. Louis is just happy as a June bug, much like myself.
And I thought he was happy because he was fat. He's lost weight and he's still happy.
He's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah. Come on, I gotta fix my leg.
So
Actually, before when you started this, you were talking about you were being in the service with your dad for a little bit.
Oh God.
Yeah, I thought that
A
was
lot of people don't
fascinating.
know. I've talked about it.
Yeah.
I'm an Army brat. And so when we were growing up, my dad got stationed in Europe and I was in DOD schools. I was in the 5th grade and I'd had enough of Germany. Had enough of it. So about a year, we'd been over there just under a year. Sitting in the classroom, and I was 9 or 10. I just said, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
I got up, said, can I go to the bathroom? Sure. Walked out to the train station in town and hopped on a train. And all I knew was to just keep going north to Frankfurt. And I kept getting off before they checked tickets. I'd hide in the bathroom. And on the 3rd train, they caught me. One of the train guys checking tickets in Germany. My plan was to get to the Flughafen. And then this was in the 70s, so it was definitely possible. I was going to sneak on a plane and go back to the States.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I got caught, and three Polizei later, they through all the districts. They got me back to the concern, and my dad ended up getting a compassionate reassignment. But so fast forward 10 years or 8 years, and my dad come down on orders again. We're stationed at Fort Dix, and I'm 18, getting ready to be 19. And so I went out. My dad come down on orders for Germany, and I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to go there. So tried getting a job in Boston, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I decided to join the Army.
Yeah.
I'll get out of going to Germany. And they sent me to Germany.
Oh, shit.
that's the way.
Yeah. So, figured, my dad, he was an E7 at the time, and he met me at the replacement center when I landed and said, hey, do you want to see if I can pull some strings and get your station closer to where we're at, or do you want to just let the Army do it? And I said, I thought about it. I really did. Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to have to visit anyhow, see what you can do.
Right.
Yeah.
I ended up in the same unit. Yeah. Same unit. 1st of the 6th Infantry. Regulars, by God, not by choice.
Right.
Yeah.
Were you it doesn't sound like you were trying to get away from your dad.
No, I just didn't want to go to Germany again.
Right.
Every time I got leave, I went home to the States.
Right.
The unit would have unit trips to places in Germany. Nope.
Home.
Nope. I'd sit in the barracks, and I wasn't a drinker.
Right.
I mean, I was in mortars, and I remember the platoon sergeant saying, "You're going drinking."
Right.
That's how I got started drinking. So in my first Article 15, my dad was there because I got in trouble with a kid from his platoon. And so when we went to go see the colonel, you go, it's a field grade. I think we we're supposed to be in the field. We ended up trick-or-treating, punched an MP, off-limits area, lots of booze involved. So anyhow, we're going to see
Army,
the colonel.
it gets wild. You do all kind. We get up to all kind of stuff.
So I was seeing the colonel, and it's me and my buddy, or me and my platoon sergeant, and my buddy, his platoon sergeant, who was my dad. So, but and then after that, I went to the 101st, and that's when I really, got in big trouble.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Article 15 for the audience that isn't aware, that's like a write-up in high school for the Army.
It's like going to court and getting fined and maybe sentenced to some jail time.
Right, extra
but no
duty.
prison.
Right.
No prison.
They'd take your check. They'd make you stay after work.
It was weird working those 2 months and not getting paid.
Yeah.
And remember I was telling you about how I used to as a private, get away with stuff.
Right.
And then when people found out, I'd be like, oh, that's because your dad's here. Well, one of the things I did when I found out about this, they're going to take half my pay, is I went to the pack clerk and took out a support allotment for my mom. And I left $25. I paid my Article 15 back on the installment plan, $25 a month. It took a year,
Right.
but I didn't lose any money. I just go home, my mom would give me the check, and I cash it. So my first sergeant comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, you had to see me because you got an MPD." I'm like, "What's an MPD?" He goes, "No pay due." I see you took out a new support allotment for your mom. Did your dad tell you to do that? I'm like, Jesus Christ, first sergeant. I says, I thought of that. And he's like, really? No, really. Yeah. He's like, just by telling me this, you could get an Article 15. But I'm not. I think that's pretty cool. You did think of it your own? Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's good initiative, kid.
Yeah. I like your thinking. I like it.
It's like going to the school when your mom or dad's a teacher, or you're always going to have that kind of like,
stigma. Yeah.
I do think we probably should close out just for time.
Show me your booty, Gabby. Show me your booty. Show me your booty.
It's pretty booty.
But yeah, any closing remarks you want to make?
Guys, listen, thank y'all for coming and watching, but please check out Dysfunctional Veteran. Where would you like these guys to see?
Unless, we have a closed group, but no, go support the DV Farm, and it's just DV. It doesn't stand for Dysfunctional Veterans.
Okay.
I had to think of a name, and DV Farm for homeless vets. We're on Facebook, and we have a website, dvfarm.org.
We would love to link anything that you would share with us.
And I'm going to do the same.
Description.
The old, if you are a vet or active duty, the Dysfunctional Veterans page is search groups and will pop up. But the open page is just veteran humor page.
Veteran humor, that's correct.
Facebook will not allow me to create another. There are dysfunctional veteran pages out there, but they're fake.
Right.
So, and we're on Instagram. But the main thing is to support our homeless vets. We can't save everybody. You got to pick a lane. And I chose homeless vets because I know what I'm doing there. I used to be one.
Right.
And thank you guys for having me on.
Oh,
thank you for what you do and for joining us.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Thank you, Gabby.
Gabby, real quick. Let's see if we can do a war face. Come here, step up.
I think she will this time.
I don't know. She's not allowed to do it inside, but it's for posterity. Show me your war face. Roar! Come on. Roar! Show me your war face. Roar!
Oh, she did.
She won't do it inside. You got to cut this now. I look stupid yelling at a bird. So real quick, I just remember this. You know what this means, right?
Yeah,
peace, right?
Absolutely.
In China, it's like this. Chinese peace, right? But in the Army, we say...
Yeah.
Yes. Figure, stupid joke. One last one.
But that's... So yeah.
Well, again, thank you guys for joining us. Please check out everything in the description. Support how you can. These guys, don't think of them just as homeless veterans. Think of them as other human beings. I think it's great what you're doing. And again, especially being a part of that community and having struggled with things myself, I'm very thankful that I had a good support network. I know there's a lot of people that don't, and thank you for being that for them. So
again, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, we'll see you next time on Two Dudes Talking. Have a good one.